Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show, E-Copy with Experts. This is Ranmay here. And today we have Sara, who is the CEO and founder of Tribu Creative with us. Hey, Sara.
Hi, Ranmay. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Lovely. Sara, before we move any forward, why don't you talk us through about your journey, how you landed up in the space, and how did you start Tribu Creative? What has been, the journey of Tribu Creative so far? And we'll take it forward from there on.
Okay, that sounds great. I'm 36 years old today. Tribu was started when I was 22, so I was very young.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Happy
yeah.
birthday.
Oh, thanks. But it's October. Sorry, but
Oh, okay. You said today, I thought
yes,
it's today. Never mind. Yeah,
no,
sorry.
sorry. No, it's all good. But it was 22. I was 22 years old when Trippy started. So a little bit of it was like young and naivety. I was very passionate about marketing and where it was going. Digital marketing it had been around, but it was emerging and it was at a very exciting time. People were starting to look at Google as a great place of investment. And I was young and so excited by all of this. And I looked inside of our hometown, San Antonio, Texas, and I didn't see any agencies that were really specialized in digital and branding. I've always loved creativity, so I thought it would be really cool if there was an agency that was focused on both the creative aspects, design, good branding, but also taking those things into the digital marketing realm, which is very measurable. And I thought that would be great if we could build these tribes for our brands and actually do that with a lot of creativity, but be able to actually talk about and demonstrate ROI, which digital avenues to do so much more. And so that's how the concept of Tribu was born. Tribu, like we were talking about earlier, means tribe in Latin. And the whole idea is that we want to use branding and digital marketing to build tribes for the brands that we serve.
You name it, or what is the backstory of naming your agency as Tribu?
So honestly, we had no idea what we were going to name it, and we were just we were just going back and forth. Was on the design side. I ended up we are out in the most peaceful separation ever on really great terms. But he and I were going back and forth, and we were just putting names on a napkin. And he really wanted tribute. And when I first heard the name, was like, I don't know. And when he explained to me that tribute means tribe and could connect it to the concept of what we do, that's when it started to feel very right to us. And that's how we landed on
Mhm.
the name. We felt that of all the names we had come up with, that was the name that most accurately described what we did, but didn't also sound very like generic, like branding and digital marketing crew. So that's how we
Right.
landed on Trip. Yeah.
Lovely,
Mhm.
lovely. And then, like you mentioned, you started it all at a very young age of 22, and to now having earned over 100 industry awards, right? For you to share some key strategies with us, with our listeners, that you feel have contributed to such remarkable success in this competitive advertising and branding landscape. The industry, our industry in general, is so competitive. And within a span of last 14, 15 years, getting so much of recognition. How could you manage it? Give us some tricks up your sleeve there.
Thank you. It's only getting more competitive, right? But
Hey.
but honestly, I think the best business strategies are simple ones. And a little bit of it is luck because when you're 22, you believe in everything and you know how to do anything but keep things simple. You don't have enough experience yet to do it any other way. The awards was really it started as very simple. It started out as it doesn't matter what somebody's paying you. If they give you an opportunity to your absolute best, right? To see less maybe of the economics and to see more of the opportunity that someone's trusting you with. When you're young, you just need opportunity with like complete excitement and you want to do your best with absolutely everything. You're not necessarily focused on resources and economics and does this make financial sense? We just gave our best to everything in the very beginning. And we were very blessed then to get recognized for some of that. And that creates an addiction when it's working, creates an addiction. So you want to do it more, a good
Mm,
addiction. And so since then, we've had this focus on the creative aspect of our business might not always make economic sense. Like you've got to let a true creative really be creative. You want things to be
Mhm.
excellent, independent of whether it's the biggest financial client you have or the smallest financial client you have. That
Mhm.
creativity, we believe, is like very foundational and important. So we've devised processes inside of Tribu that actually remove like resources and economics from the equation. Is this good enough to get out of Tribu? We have a creative director whose function isn't necessarily to know how much resources is behind this thing that we were hired to create. His only job is to say whether or not it's good enough to go out
Mhm.
into the world. And that's how we've been able to keep that creative excellence inside of Tribu as we've grown. It's not easy. There's been times where it's been tempting for economic reasons to pull it back some
Mhm.
or to but you can't. At the end of the
Mhm.
day, it's a more of a long-term view and strategy of if you do really great work, like the profit follows, right? It's a metric that determines value creation. So that's how the awards came to be. A little bit was luck, and then it was born. And then, of course, from early success, you want more. Yeah. And now we're a little bit more grown up. So there's a budget, of course, in place for the award submissions we will do annually and things like that to keep it up. The other thing, too, that's important is not to ever become so obsessed with awards. I think agencies a lot of times sometimes can be. It's really just about serving that the partner or our client. That's what we call that we call our clients partners. It's really about just being creative for them and serving them to the best of our ability. And if we do that really well, awards follow, right? You end up with a portfolio of work that you look at and go, well, a lot of this we can submit. And that's how it's happened.
And lovely. And then you and me know that it is so difficult. What are the challenges to run an advertising agency, right, or marketing agency? For all the entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs trying to make a mark in the digital space, listening to us today, what is that piece of advice that you want to give to them if they want to get into the space, build their own agency, and create a solid growth strategy or growing brand for themselves? So, what is that advice, or what factors should want them to keep an eye for when they're starting their own agency?
I think there's a couple. I'll give two. One of them we talked about a little bit earlier on May, where it's just like the specialization, the focus on what you want to do
Yeah,
extremely well. That's so
right.
important. Nobody can do everything. And nobody can do everything. The reality is like we all have our strengths. And I think early deciding what will be your strengths as an
Mhm.
agency and are those strengths valuable to a potential set of customers? Like, and deciding that you want to own a strength or own a niche, I think is very important because especially as our world gets more competitive and there's more people playing in the digital marketing and branding space than have ever been.
Yeah.
It's about what you can do really well, and there's always deeper. There's always deeper to go. There's always more you can do, and there's always ways to get better at it. So I think having that focus is really important. The other thing I think is, and this one probably everybody says, but it's just so true, is like surrounding yourself with really great people, really great talent, enabling them and trusting them. You
Mhm.
cannot, what's the phrase? You want to, if you wanna go fast, go alone, but if you wanna go far, go together. If you wanna go far, you're gonna need some really great people around you that you
Very
can
true.
trust and that are willing to carry big responsibility with you. And you wanna grow those people, and you wanna serve those people, and you wanna develop those people, and you wanna take care of them very well. I think our industry struggles with that a lot. We have very high turnover. And honestly, I can't say that Tribu's perfect at it either, but it's something that we work really hard on is making sure that we're like taking very good care of our people and setting them up for success in full recognition that their success is our success. You can't do it alone. You got to have really good
Mhm.
people around you. And
Absolutely.
those two, I think, are the primary. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And
I don't know that's anything new. Go for it, Ron. It's
yeah,
I. Yeah.
absolutely. No worries. And then also, it is important, while it is important to keep the lights on, and especially if you're starting out, but at the same time, it is also important to, like you mentioned, understand what is your niche, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, or areas which you're not so good at. To saying no to clients who are demanding for requirements which is not really a core strength or core expertise. You cannot do everything like you mentioned. You cannot be good at everything like you mentioned. Saying no to
Right.
clients for more orders, fresh orders, or more revenue, even if let's say those are difficult phases for you, is very important because you want to carve out a niche for yourself and you want to be really good at what you're doing, and that is gonna help you sell your brand more in days to come. Early on, it is difficult to do that. We understand it, but yeah, at times you need to take that call in order to just create that niche or that space for yourself. That hey, you know what? Sarah is very good at digital creatives, right? And let's say Ranmay is good at SEO, John is good at, let's say, paid or PPC, right? So it's important to say no, or let's say educate your clients to help them understand that it's not really about saying no in terms of if you are good at it or not. Let's say even if you're good at it, but the client does not really need to spend on that particular thing at that particular moment, then also you'll have to say no in order to be absolutely transparent and honest with your client if they actually need that particular service, even if you're good at it or if you're selling it at that particular point in time or not. So those are things which you need to weigh in terms of how you want to grow your business.
Totally. And then also too, it's at that Tribute, we want, and I'm sure this is true for every agency. You want to have you want to have your partners or your clients for a very long time. And then part of allowing that to be true is just being honest that they trust you when you say
Mhm.
do this and I can do this. Conversations that they're and what are the things that they're asking you, because it's not necessarily about getting as much as you can from every single person you service. It's about developing good long-term relationships so that both sides truly feel like it's an honest relationship, it's a good relationship, it's built on
Very
trust
true.
and it can last. And those are foundational to achieving big things together, which if you're serving a client, I'm sure we all want to achieve big things for our clients and together, you know. So I totally
Absolutely.
agree with that. I get it, and
Absolutely.
it's so much said than done.
Mhm.
Mm.
This is what I say to my team. Your attention does not start after onboarding, or let's say 6 months down the line after you service the client for, let's say,
Mm.
a quarter or a couple of quarters after they have seen your service, your deliverables. No, your attention starts at the point wherein your sales guy, or for an existing account, your project management folks have made that sale. If you've sold it, half your job of retention is done, right? Because that is what they need, what you can offer, and you know that you're gonna deliver as per their expectation. If
Right.
those parameters are set at day one, right, then retention, I'm not saying it'll be a cakewalk. Yeah, you always face challenges operationally, like we were discussing, but yeah, your life becomes easier, right? If
Yeah.
you have set the expectations the way it should be from day one.
Totally, totally. And then and something unconventional about Trivia is that we actually have a solutions department. So basically an agency with a sales department, only I don't like calling them a sales department. We call them a solutions
Very
department
true.
because that is their entire
Yeah,
job. It's not necessarily to go sell everything they can sell, but to really set the expectations, make sure that scope of work is the scope of work that the client actually or partner actually meets. And that's their entire job because your relationships that start right last long. That's how
absolutely.
it goes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Great. You are so passionate about strategic creativity. So, how do you strike a balance between creative expression, strategic objectives in your campaigns? And what advice would you want to give to the marketeers listening to us who struggle with finding this balance?
I think, let's see, I'll talk about how we do it at Tribune. It both sides, the creative side and the strategy side, have to learn to deeply respect one another. The strategy side, the numbers, has to just think of the strategy side as the numbers that you have to understand that the value of creativity, make room for it, allow it, and know that the way that good creative is going to serve them is it's going to drive all their CPCs down, all their CPMs lower. Like good creative is going to make their numbers stronger. But on the creative side, they also have art, like that there is a very purposeful reason that this art or creative that they're working on is being crafted. And they have to understand that their creative isn't just it's not just the art aspect of it, it's also will it meet the goal? And both sides have to have deep respect for each other. It's operationally difficult to do because the strategy side just wants to boost their numbers up. So they're like, hey, get me some ads, any ads. I don't care. I just need them to say this so I can plug them in and let's go. The creative side is, wait, I don't have an idea yet. So both sides have to understand, the
Yeah.
value of each. They have to care about each other's worlds,
Right.
respect each other's differences, and know how those differences. I think advice to other like agents, I don't know if I'm qualified to give it as I work through the agency world myself, would be that like there has to be an encouragement and allowance for both and deciding if something is going to be creatively led or strategically led on a case by case in context is important because any great brand has both. They have aspects that are strategically led, that are numerically driven, but they have aspects that are creatively led and that are meant to, I think, I say it in marketing, hit the consumer more in the gut, create emotions, create feelings that just satisfy a human being at their core. So I just think deciding any brand initiative, is this going to be creatively led or is this going to be strategically led? And making sure that the team is on the same page and that they will share that. At times, things will be strategically led. At times, things will be creatively led. And being able to respect each other enough to let whatever should lead actually lead.
Absolutely. Lovely point there, Sarah. And before we wrap this up, I want to ask you one final question. What is your take on AI and machine learning? It has hit our industry. It has been more than a year now. We all made our own strategies, adoptions around it. Where do you think are we heading with AI?
I honestly love it. I know that people are scared of it. Sometimes people say it's gonna take our jobs. I don't think so. I think our job will become a lot prompting the AI.
Mhm.
Someone's gonna have to know how to use AI really well just because it can do a lot of what is currently being done by human beings. Doesn't mean that marketing's not gonna be needed anymore. Someone's gonna have to learn how to deploy AI very effectively to be
Mhm.
creative, to be strategic. And I do think that's where our jobs are going. I don't think our jobs are being taken away. I think resistance to AI is a problem. I think that will threaten a job. I think I do think there needs to be some regulation around it. I don't think that AI can be blindly trusted. I think that you still
Sure.
need a human being to evaluate what AI has shared with you on is this actually good? Does it meet the objectives of this brand?
Yeah.
But it can help so much. We use it all the time. We're using it at Tribute to help edit leaves and that makes something look like fall into a photo before we post it on social. We're using it to help organize marketing strategies. We're using it to
Yeah.
help us write blogs, to help us read things, to help us create explainer videos. I love AI. I'm excited by it. I don't think it's the threat that everybody thinks it is. I think
Lovely.
any piece of technology scares everybody when it first comes out, but we always figure it out and we will figure this out too,
We've
you
always
know?
done that. History is a witness to that. We've always done that. Right? Great. So it was lovely speaking with you. And thank you so much for taking our time and doing this with us. Really appreciate it.
Rame, thanks for having me. It was fun.